All right, so our good friends over at Akai has released their newest public beta of the MPC 3. It is now called Beta 3, and it actually has a feature that I was kind of asking about. Now, they did do it a little bit different, but I ain't mad at them. And of course, they added a few other things, and they did a few fixes under the hood. So let's go ahead and check it out right now.
Bolo!
All right, before we get started, if you guys need a new MPC or if you guys are looking to get anything for your studio, make sure you guys go ahead and click that link in the description and head over to Zounds.com. Zounds has a whole bunch of stuff on the site, just like all the newest MPCs, and they have a whole bunch of other stuff that you guys can get with no credit or background check. Now, it's not everything on the site, but it is a whole bunch of stuff on the site that you guys can get with no credit or background check. That means you can order it, they'll ship it to you, and then you can just make monthly payments on it. All you would just need is a credit or debit card hooked up to the account, and that is it. So if you guys need anything for your studio, and I mean anything, go ahead and click my link in the description and head over to Zounds.com today. All right, so let's get right into it. The first thing that they upgraded in this new Beta 3 update is the track mutes. Now we have two different type of track mutes. We now have event mute and audio mute. Now, I don't know if you guys remember a couple weeks ago, I was talking about having a global mute group to where if we have a certain sound in that global mute group, or some of you guys may know it as a global choke group, that way when that sound stops and you play another sound, we can go ahead and just chop that audio and the other sound will play as long as we have that in that particular group. Well, I think the good folks at Akai were listening and they came up with something that's actually a little bit better. They gave us options, okay? Instead of having like a global choke group, they gave us the option to either mute it as an event or we can mute it as audio. So you guys are probably thinking, Bolo, why are you so excited about this new feature? Because now if I have an 808 bass and I have a synth bass, when I switch sequences, my 808 bass will now be able to cut off right when my synth bass actually starts playing in the next sequence. So basically, let's look at it like this. I got an 808, and when you play an 808, usually an 808 has a tail on it. So if you play it, you hear the full 808 tail. As you guys can see, you have the initial hit and then you have the 808 tail. Now with the new mute features, we have two options of treating that 808 tail. So now when we press mute, it has two options at the top. We have audio and we have event. So when we're in audio, when we have this 808 playing, when we press the mute button, it will cut it off completely. We will have no audio tail, nothing. It'll just cut it off. So let me go ahead and give you guys a quick sample of what I'm talking about. I'm gonna play the bass, and as soon as I press mute, it's gonna stop completely. As you guys can see in that example, it completely cut off the 808. No 808 tail, no nothing. Now let's just say we want to mute this 808, but we want to leave this audio tail. All we simply have to do is press event right here. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna press play and I'm gonna mute it. And then you will hear once I mute it, it will still play the audio tail all the way out. Now in that example, once I press mute, the whole audio tail continued to play out until the end, but it still muted the 808. With these two new functions in our mute section, we now have total control of our sounds once they are inside of the MPC. Now this is not just for 808s, you can use this for key groups and you can use this for the built-in sounds inside of the MPC as well. Now let's put this in an example when we're making a beat. Say for instance, I have this whole beat right here and I have a bass on one track and I have a sub bass on another track. Now when that sub bass comes in, I want that 808 to completely stop so it won't be any type of bass overlapping that gives you that nasty sound that happens when you overlap those basses. So let me give you guys an example real quick. I'm gonna play you the first sequence that has the sub bass in it. Then I'm gonna play you the 808, but we're gonna be in the audio mute so that the 808 cuts completely off. So let's do that right now. as you guys can see, there was no bass bleed between both of those sequences. Now, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna do this on event mute. What happens is the 808 tail is gonna extend all the way out, and the sub bass that I have in here is a very long sample, and it's gonna keep playing until it stops. And I'm gonna show you guys what happens. As you guys can see, the sub bass did not stop like how it did on the audio mute versus the event mute. So that's why I like this, because if we have other sounds in here and we want to go ahead and just completely chop those off into different sequences, we can do that. Now, this demonstration is a little overboard, but I wanted you guys to see what I was talking about and why this is so cool, because now instead of us having to use like a global choke group or a global mute group, we can just switch back and forth between mute audio and event audio. Now, most of the times we're not going to have samples that last that long. We might have samples with some type of an audio tail, like maybe a piano or something like that, but we can actually do the same thing with the built-in sounds inside of the MPC. So in this example, I have a piano out the Fabric XL, and I actually made the release real long in here so that it will play out. But I want to treat this the same way I treated the 808 with the audio mute and the event mute. So let's go ahead and check that out. So this is how the piano sounds when we have it on the audio mute. So now we're going to play the piano, and I'm going to mute it out with the audio mute. As you guys can hear, it had no audio tail once we muted that. Now let's do this in event mute. So as you guys can see, it works the same way. So now with these two new functions in here, we can have total control on how we want to mute our tracks. I'm actually very excited about this, y'all. Like, very excited. Now, the next thing they added in this new beta update is we are now able to stem out our samples from our drum tracks. They made this very easy to do. This way you can just go ahead and stem out your drum tracks to where you can either put them back into the MPC and arrange it that way, or you can take it over to your favorite DAW and arrange it that way. So let me show you guys how to do it. It is very easy. So on track 1, I have a whole drum loop that I just made. Let me play it for you real quick. Very simple drum loop, just for tutorial purposes. Now that drum loop is 4 bars and it's at 140 BPM. What I want to do is stem all these drums out, and it's very easy to do. All we have to do is go to menu, go to save, and right here it says drum pads add stems. We just press on that. At this point, they're going to ask you a few things like an audio tail, the file format, and all that good stuff. And then from there, all you have to do is just press export. From that point right there, all we have to do is give this a file name and save it somewhere. So what I'm going to do from this point is save it onto my SSD drive and create a folder for it. I'm going to name this Drum Stems 3 because I already have some other folders with the drum stems in it. So now that I got that done, I'm just going to press save. And there it is, it's done. So now when I go into that folder, they have my stems in there and they are ready to go. So when I play them, that did not take no time, and they made this very easy to do. Now, they did fix a few things under the hood. We have faster sampling loading times now, and replacing programs and samples have been made much easier, and they kind of streamlined the way you can load up programs and stuff now, even with tracks that already have existing samples. So everything is much easier on that. Now, they have fixed a few things that have been requested. They are working on some other stuff that has already been requested. So everybody just be a little patient. They're working on this. We still have to understand that this is a public beta. All right. So things will be fixed over time before they actually release the real version of this. So either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys learned something from it. And you guys let me know what you guys think about this newest update, and let me know of some updates you guys want to see in the future. So, like I always say, peace out.